Hi, everyone, and welcome to Constitution DAO Watch, where we bring you the latest and greatest about the Constitution DAO and occasionally talk about other things in the crypto space. My name is Davey Brockwell. We have Zach Seward, Jen Sanasi, and we're going to start off in regular form talking about Constitution DAO, all the latest and historic moment that didn't turn out quite as we planned yesterday. Zach, what ended up happening?
Oh, what a night. What ended up happening, hey, I called it. You guys both on the record
I was so deflated and sad,
saying
and
that
I knew we had
Constitution
to
DAO was
come
going to
here.
win this thing.
Yeah.
And Constitution DAO did not win this thing. Constitution DAO raised something like $47 million in ETH to acquire a very rare first printing of the Constitution at Sotheby's last night. Didn't work out that way. They stopped bidding, and an unknown bidder swooped in and took America's founding document from the hashtag people. So we're going to talk about this. It was quite a historic night at Sotheby's, I should say. There was also an auction of several Banksy works that were paid for in Ether, the native currency of the Ethereum blockchain. So that was a notable first. That was an auction house first. But the main event, the Constitution, was auctioned in fiat and went to an unknown buyer, not to this collective of crypto investors who are looking to get a piece of history. That right there is Brooke. She surged into a brief moment of internet fame yesterday. I believe Brooke delivered the bad news to Constitution DAO members and fans everywhere when the other buyer ended up taking home this rare document. So I think that's pretty much what happened. There was a lot of chaos. There was a bit of misreporting, including some by CoinDesk itself, which initially reported that Constitution DAO had won. That was incorrect. That was based on some members of the DAO who apparently had the wrong information. So DAOs in the spotlight, in the mainstream, a concept that is suddenly surging in Google search and elsewhere. I don't know what to say about it at this point, but it was definitely made for some entertaining auction watching last night, and a lot of people were tuned in. So I'm going to toss this over to Naomi. Very curious for her thoughts on what may or may not be the conclusion of the Constitution DAO saga.
Indeed. Well, first of all, it was interesting that they raised $47 million and didn't beat a $43.17 million bid because they needed funds for maintaining the document. That's always something that people need to keep in mind, whether you're buying a house or a car or whatever. It's not the price of the actual object. There are big maintenance costs afterwards. So it's good that they were at least thinking ahead of that. But also interesting that $4 million isn't enough in their view to cover maintenance for the foreseeable future. That was surprising to me. Like, how much does it cost to store a Constitution? I guess a lot more than $4 million. So I've never bought a Constitution before, not familiar with how you store and maintain these, but apparently Constitution DAO has done their homework, and they decided this was a no-go for them. I mean, we've seen suddenly Constitution DAO in BBC and in all kinds of mainstream headlines, which has been fascinating to watch. And it's been even more entertaining to watch them try to explain the concept of a DAO to a mainstream audience, which delights me in so many ways. I love that so many grand things are happening with no barriers to entry and giant momentum, that they're just pushing things forward so fast. And they're so large in scale that mainstream media can't help but have to cover them, because you can't just ignore the fact that a group of people in Discord raised $47 million to buy the Constitution in a decentralized organization. You can't ignore that. Yet you have to try to explain that to people who have no idea how blockchain technology works, have no idea how any of this stuff works. So it's just been really cool to watch the crypto space just push that conversation forward, no matter how much the mainstream doesn't want to talk about it. They're all talking about what's the price of Bitcoin today. And meanwhile, these people are doing these crazy things, and now they have to cover DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. I love it. I love it so much. But Jen, I'll toss to you for your thoughts. And then Zach, I think I saw your hand go up.
I just want to say, last night I was on a call with my CTO, and I was like, I need to check what happened with Constitution DAO. Please hold. And I had a real live reaction on the video call. Like I held my heart and I went, no. And he laughed and gloated. And it was what I pictured Zach would do today. And he did. And so thank you for delivering.
Gloating. Look at that gloating face.
I don't jerks think everywhere, relishing in the failure of a bunch of crypto geeks. What losers we are. Sorry.
I don't think this is the end of Constitution. I know. Thank you for apologizing. I just had pure hopes for them, but I don't think it's the end. I think ConstitutionDAO, they're like the underdog of 2021. And I think that we're going to see them do something very exciting and cool. And I just support whatever they want to get into next. But this all kind of reminded me of what we experienced with Beeple in February, right? Of course, he sold his painting for $69 million. The mainstream media all piled in trying to explain NFTs, and then the NFT craze started. And so I wonder if we are going to see DAOs really take off in 2022 as the mainstream tries to wrap their head around this group of internet folk trying to buy the Constitution.
I am on the record saying that I think this is going to be that moment, right? Beeple was to NFTs as ConstitutionDAO is to DAOs. And I think people are getting their head around what this means, right? We're seeing some definitions out there. One that I'm sort of warming to is, a collection of people on the internet using crypto often to make shared governance decisions about, pooled investments, investment decisions, any other crazy experiments like this or other things that we're going to see down the line. Can a DAO get together to raise enough funds to buy a sporting team? Can a DAO get enough funds together to buy a municipality? There's all sorts of these pie in the sky things that may have seemed crazy, 6 months ago, as the idea of DAOs was still quite nascent among most people. But I think now sort of the sky's the limit as people are like, oh, okay, So people on the internet can get together and hang out in Discord, and there's all these tools now with internet money that can make this possible for people to act together in concert in a way that may or may not be better than existing forms of group organization. I think it's super interesting, super intriguing. It's going to be interesting what ConstitutionDAO does. There are plans to give this money back to all the contributors, minus gas fees, of course. So there is some cost of playing along. But
they'll lose 45 million.
Of the 45 million, yes, some many millions of that will be burned away in Ethereum gas fees. But it's going to be interesting to see sort of what this next big thing is, because all of a sudden people are sort of like, again, this is the way that people sort of captivated the imagination of the mass public. I think we're seeing that right now with some DAOs now. But Naomi, last thought, and then we'll change gears.
Yeah, just final quick thoughts. This all comes down to decentralizing trust. And it really is a revolution. I agree with you, Zach. This is the precipice of something brand new. The reason why DAOs are valuable is because you enable all these people to come together and trust their money into a single pool without having to trust a single organization. Generally, a whole lot of due diligence is needed to understand who the people are who will be controlling your money, who the team is that you'll be working with, all of that stuff where you have to trust this central focal point. Right now, you can trust code, and people are finding that it's probably easier to trust that if they understand it and can look into it, if it's been audited, for example. Hasn't necessarily always been audited, though, so keep that in mind, that you shouldn't blindly be trusting your money to these things. But it really does spark this new wave of investment, of ownership, of governance, where you can just kind of pool resources together and you don't need to trust any opaque organization. It's all open right there on the blockchain, which is a really cool new phenomenon. But Zach, final words to you.
Final words. I think a lot of these decisions are enabled by code, but I think it's really important that we remember that these are humans, right? These are humans who decided at some point they would stop bidding because they could not maintain this document in a safe and secure manner going forward, right? The code did not make that decision. The tools that may have helped them get to that point certainly are rooted in code and are certainly more transparent than some other organizations, because a lot of it is on chain. But when it comes down to it, these are human organizations that are aided by code. And I think that people are starting to sort of awaken to that idea, as opposed to this being a fully autonomous creature. So anyway, a lot of good stuff. Obviously, we talked about this for a while, and I think DAOs are certainly poised to have a bit of a moment. All right, Jen, let's zoom back to NFTs. Now, I think this one is actually quite an interesting signal. So take it away.
Okay. All right. So Kendo already had Thanksgiving, but you guys are having your Thanksgiving soon. And there's a very exciting NFT project to talk about. So Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is going to feature an NFT partnership with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The department store is releasing parade-themed NFTs on Thanksgiving Day and plans to donate the proceeds to charity. Now, I've been in conversations actually with several brands who are talking about NFTs and Web3, and their main concern is like, how do we make money in this space? And I just think it's the wrong way to think about NFTs and Web3. And just kudos to the brands who are getting in to really create communities and take the opportunity to learn about tech while also giving back to charity, because I think, a lot of these brands are still figuring out how to operate and how this is going to pan out for them. And so I think this is really cool. Macy's is known for their balloons, and the NFTs are going to commemorate some of the balloons going back as far as the 1920s. And all of those proceeds are going to a good cause. Zach, you said this was an exciting story to you, so I'm going to kick this down to you. How do you feel about the Macy's parade getting into NFTs?
I think it's perfect. I think the Hollywood story about, the Hollywood movie about the NFT craze that we've been living in this last 12 months. Of course, 2021 is capped off by the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade having NFTs. Of course, it had to have come to this. So I think it's really interesting to look back over these last, 10 to 12 months, starting with Top Shot, going to Beeple, going to all these PFP projects that are popping off, going to everyone under the sun having an NFT strategy. And of course, the balloons floating down Manhattan on Thanksgiving, a storied tradition for people all across the country. Of course, they would have an NFT play. It's just too perfect. So it's funny to think about how far we've come when you're seeing, like the Snoopy balloon, right? Or like name a classic. Like
I love the Snoopy balloon. Will be an NFT. I want that year. NFT.
So that to me, it's just too good. The NFT, everyone is here on NFTs, and if that was in question for you, this should eliminate all future questions as to whether or not everyone is here on the NFT thing. So I don't know. I'm going to toss it to Naomi. I'm curious for her thoughts as well.
Yeah, Jen, I love your always looking on the bright side, always excited and optimistic and giving back and generous. I do want to add, though, that these companies are indeed responsible to their shareholders. So looking for a way to make money, and this is absolutely the right thing for them to do. Otherwise, they'd be completely irresponsible to their shareholders. And, and thinking about money, which we do more and more now that crypto is right there in our mind, really it's just frozen value, right? So if you are providing something that people want to pay for, if you're making money for it, you are transferring value. You are providing something that other people are deeming as valuable. I think that is important to remember. And it's great when companies create things that provide value. Also great when they give back to charity as well. But, it's how much they give back to charity is an opportunity cost there into how much they can then invest back into their business and provide even more value to consumers. So it's not really a black and white situation there. It's a little nuanced, but I will agree with you, Zach, that like this story blew me away. Like I know it seems like it's a run of the mill, it's another NFT story, but I think this is huge. This is Macy's getting into NFTs. Like, as you said, if we had any doubt that NFTs were everywhere, this should blow that doubt out of our minds, because everyone is involved with this stuff. Everyone is trying to figure out what this world is. I'm sure half the people involved still have no idea. But this absolutely is everywhere. This is mainstream now. And it's fascinating how fast this just moved. And all of these giant corporations are just kind of in on it too. You have individual independent artists who are in on it and who are like, this is a way for me to make a sustainable income. You have these, trend-setting companies and thought leaders out there who are like, this is something that I want to be a part of. It's just kind of pervasive at this stage, which is fascinating, because I'm not convinced that the NFTs that these companies and people are creating right now are as valuable as people may be pegging the prices to. Maybe that's controversial. I do think that we can get deeper into use cases of NFTs, figure out how this like a tokenized transfer of ownership can help us in everyday life. I think we've only scratched the surface at the moment, and that surface layer is where we're seeing all this bubble and hype and big companies getting involved. I'm interested in NFTs 2.0, whatever that is, and to see where this leads. But Jen, I'll throw it back to you. Maybe you have some ideas about that future trajectory.
I don't know if I have ideas about the future. I just wanted to clarify. I do absolutely think companies should be thinking about making money. But I think when it comes to emerging tech and things that they don't understand, there are a few layers to peel back before we can get to how to actually monetize these and for them to be profitable. I think there's a learning curve. And if we can involve charity and build communities during that learning curve, I think it's really forward thinking for companies. I do want to ask you guys though. So this is the big, I guess, pivotal moment, the Macy's parade. What do you think we're going to get in terms of NFTs for Christmas? What's going to top this?
Christmas NFTs. Oh my gosh. Well, you've got like Rockefeller Center with their Christmas tree. Are they going to release an NFT, right? Maybe you have like NFT ornaments. Maybe they hologram them onto the tree. Like that's what I do if I were Rockefeller Center. I would like be creating these physicalized versions of NFT just to kind of show that we're hip, we're part of this, we're like Macy's too, But I don't know. Zach, what's your projection?
I'm already dreading those pitches in my email inbox. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's going to be some really bad ones. I'm going to try my best to pick the most representatively strange and mainstream thing. So if it's, I don't know, Rockefeller Center, I think that's a good one. I don't know. Is there there's a Christmas thing? I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
It's cool.
You probably
it's
have NFT from some of these Hollywood shows, like movies, the traditional Christmas movies. Maybe they'll create like an
you know what
I want a Mariah Carey All I Want for Christmas NFT. That has to happen.
Love actually NFT.
Wow. Yeah.
Best
also a big win for Polygon. Go Ethereum scaling solution. This is on Polygon. This is a layer 2 NFT. So cool to see all of a sudden layer 2s get some big name clients on there. All right, let's take a break. Let's go to Bitcoin. We're not taking a break. Let's just keep going. Naomi, let's talk about Bitcoin. Talk about Bitcoin for a little bit.
Let's talk about price movements and what these might be caused by, because we saw a giant dip early today and it kind of went lower than any of us are probably comfortable with. Some people are saying, well, this has to do with derivatives markets and shorting and all of that. Other people are saying, well, this has to do with the Mt. Gox glut. Others are saying, no, that's rubbish. There's nothing to substantiate that. And obviously, you're going to get a pullback anytime you get all-time highs in crypto. It's natural for the market to do this. Historically, it's always done this. So this is just a natural progression. A lot to dive into here. I definitely have some thoughts about these derivative markets and maybe some asymmetry there, but I do want to throw to the group for your take on all of this. Like, are we in a bear market there? Is this just a natural correction and we still headed out? Zach, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, orange coin go down. I don't know. Can we zoom out a little bit on that chart? I like to zoom out a little bit. I think we're probably going to see a brief correction and then I don't know. I mean, last year at the end of the year, things went super duper crazy, right? Everybody was like, oh yeah, we'll take a holiday, we'll take a break, whatever. And then it was like all-time high, all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. And I think, I don't know, but it could happen again this year. So I don't know. I really don't know much about why the Bitcoin moves up and down. I'm just going to tout my ignorance on Bitcoin price movement. There's so many things that are affecting this market here at this point in time. And it's really unclear. It's really hard to attribute as much as we as humans like to attribute something to sort of like a causal reality. Like in this marketplace, if there's anything I've learned in the last 3 years, it's often really hard to do that, right? There may be any number of sort of like unseen factors that are also at play relative to these big macro factors that you're elaborating on so well, Naomi. So interesting to see.
The first thing people should do, just a tip, just go to Elon Musk's page. What has he tweeted that day? And there's your answer. That's why Bitcoin moved in whatever direction.
Bitcoin does X as Elon does Y. There you go. Done. The thing that is going to be interesting at the end of the year, I think what we should do at CoinDesk at the end of the year, all these year-end price predictions that we've heard across the course of this bull run, I'm going to be curious to see who got it most right. Because, I think,
dive into that.
100,000 felt like a pretty good, mid bet. And then there's going to be some sort of highs and lows on the prediction front that have been made over the course of the year. Remember that guy's I think it was at Guggenheim or whatever. I don't know the name. Anyway, there's some big price predictions out there, and it's going to be interesting to see which pundit was most correct on that one. Anyway, that's all I got.
Dan, what are your thoughts on all of this and where we're heading?
Yeah, so I also, I think I'm quite similar to Zach in the fact that I just can't even wrap my head around all of the different contributions that go towards the markets. But I want to point to the two that you mentioned in your intro. So there are analysts quoted in the story as citing Mt. Gox and the Craig Wright case as possible reasons for this. And it just seemed a little, for me, far-fetched to cite those two things as the reasons for this particular dip. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I thought that with derivatives markets, what's interesting right now is prior to us getting, even prior to the futures markets, like CME, for example, you had this technology, and if you were interested enough in it, then you would buy into it. And generally the people who buy into it are really bullish about it because they've taken the time to figure out how to get involved and buy the Bitcoin, right? And then suddenly you start to have all of these alternative traditional markets come out, which enables people to bet on the direction of Bitcoin without ever having to have gotten involved with it and try it out. I feel like when people actually get involved and use this, they're like, oh, actually, this is interesting. Like once you use it, once you actually experience that transfer of value to someone, that instantaneous movement of crypto, it's like a thrilling experience. Like I remember the first Bitcoin transaction back in the day, and it was like, oh my God, that just went from here to there. Like now you're in control of it. And it was exciting. And so it's like this asymmetry where a lot of these derivatives markets, like I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that derivatives-led movements actions can lead to movements in Bitcoin. I think that there are a lot of people involved in traditional markets who are shorting Bitcoin, and they have no interest in ever getting involved, ever testing this stuff out. And so we do have this interesting phenomenon emerging now. But ultimately, I think the tech is going to win, and these people who are shorting it are going to be hurting. So we've seen what happens. I mean, I'm not against shorting at all. I think it's fantastic for price discovery. And also, I mean, a lot of people are downers on shorts. They're like, no, we hate short markets. That's why AMC and GameStop, we're going to pump this up and down with the shorters. It's like, no, shorters are important for price discovery. And it's also not good just to have that asymmetry before where the only people betting on Bitcoin were the ones involved with it and they're all bullish. So you just have this price movement up. Now that we do have interesting counterbalances, I'm curious to see where this goes and where like general market values crypto at. But honestly, I think that the bears and the shorts are going to be disappointed. I think they're going to lose a lot of money. But I'm going to throw it to you, Zach, for your thoughts.
I think that's a really great point. I mean, I think, options are the way for market to express an opinion. And I think without it, like if you go back in time, right, the approval of Bitcoin options, I think during that last bull run in 2017, I think it was the date of Bitcoin's all-time high is when options were approved, because people in the U.S. Financial regulatory sector wanted there to be a market mechanism for folks to express, again, that countervailing option to sort of keep things in check. So the fact that those exist and are more robust now is certainly an important market feature of Bitcoin in 2021. All right. Thanks so much. That's good stuff. We're going to wrap it here. It's Friday. That means that tomorrow is Saturday. And then the week after that, it's going to be Thanksgiving week. So it might be a little different around here. It might be a $2, a $4, a $1. We're going to see what it's looking like.
The $3 really does shock me when I see it. We're so big.
Can I do an anti-government rant in like a $1 one day? I'll just be like, here's some bad things that happen.
We're in the $3. Okay, one day, Naomi, when no one else shows up, you can just rant.
What are you doing, guys? What's going on here?
I'm going wrong direction. Oh, no.
I don't know. We're just, this is like a music video for The Hash. The Hash is brought to you by CoinDesk TV. We talk about crypto news. We get you up to speed on why things are happening in the market and why it matters. But that's it. That's the end of the show, not the beginning of the show. We hope to see you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. And if you're hanging out with family next week to see them for the holidays, also have a great time doing that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Good being with you. Bye.
Have a great weekend.
$3.
Bye.